Right, so today we have here Michael Vax, CCO of Fordo, formerly known as Freight Hub. And so with that, could you maybe just tell us what caused the change from Freight Hub to Fordo?
Oh, well, Alexa, that's a very good question. So I think over the last 4 years, Fordo has gone through a massive evolution. I think from initially being known as a digital interface to move sea freight containers from A to B for B2B companies, primarily on the small end of things, servicing companies that maybe spend 50 to 100K on freight each year. We've been going through a massive development and have evolved to a fully fledged freight forwarding service provider, meaning that we do now air freight, sea freight, rail freight, and some part even trucking, warehousing, or palletizing for our customers and clients. But on top of that, and that's even more important, why Fordo, or also forwarding technologies, as we'd like to see it, has initiated a shift in the way we see ourselves towards our customers. And that means that we today not just service them in terms of a pure transport from A to B, but we are more or less their ecosystem for moving goods from A to B. And that means that we by now provide software that enables them not just to track containers, but to really track their products over our platform, and not just the ones that are processed by Fordo, but also the ones that are processed by third parties.
Okay, and so does the name Fordo send a particular message going along with all of this?
Well, I think we thought long and hard about it, yeah. But for us, I mean, we are building this company for our customers to make shipping easier. We're building this company for our people, yeah, to provide a meaningful place to work and grow. And we built this company for the world to accelerate global trade, and that's what Fordo is doing.
All right, perfect. So that's a bit about the rebranding, but the real topic that I wanted to get into was another aspect of the Fordo company that's hit the news, is the importing of protective equipment in Germany. Mm-hmm. So as of the end of April, it was estimated about 20 million protective items had been imported into Germany, which was about, if I'm correct, the 50% of the weekly demand needed in Germany.
It was at that point about 50% of the weekly demand that we imported now over the course of a longer period. I think by now it's the number is actually quite a bit higher again. Well, I think that while we don't want to make too big of a thing out of it, in the end, I think Fordo has always been known to adapt quickly and flexible towards the demand of our clients. As we said, I think we have a very entrepreneurial client base. A lot of them have switched their business models very quickly from importing garden furniture towards personal protective equipment, because it was just needed. Yeah. And I mean, without sounding too altruistic in this case, for many of those clients, it was also a good business case to survive within those tough times. And I think we were happy to provide them a reliable service, and I think we were quickly known as a reliable partner in that regard, having the right ties, and not just to logistics partners nominated by the government, but also to the right supplying partners. And through this, I think we could very quickly act not just as a transport provider, but also as a network and a broker to connect supply and demand a bit better.
Okay, and so then what makes Fordo the freight forwarder that has achieved all of this and not another?
I think a very big part of that is that in the end, freight forwarding is a very, very tight connection of people and technology. And I think that the technology part has been a little bit suffering the last 100 years. Yeah. And that I think we've done a fairly good job so far in really driving that into the core of the company's mission, to make sure that the tech we develop is enabling our people to do a more reliable job, more efficiently, and more transparently facing to the customer. And I think this is often why we've been in a good position to provide prices faster, to give better ETA estimations, and to give them a better chance to make sure even with massive investment costs into the products, they have a reliable partner at hand that can deliver what they said.
Okay. So then I just have a question about, I read something about a medical equipment task force.
Yeah, in some regards, I think we are really obsessed with project management and focusing on the most delicate and important topics within the company. And yeah, our chief operations officer, Michi Ardelt, like he's really more or less like a drill sergeant in that direction, but making sure things are running structured and in order. And yeah, so we've established very early on a Corona task force, making sure employees are safe and healthy, making sure operations are running smoothly, and to some extent making sure we can leverage opportunities to come at hand. And with this, we were early on able to spot this opportunity in the PPE area. And yeah, so out of this grew the medical equipment task force. And yeah, we were able to draft explicit messages to our clients, making sure we have the right marketing at hand, making sure we brief them correctly around updates in terms of customs, export from China, but also import into Europe, making sure all our account managers and operations people are at the same knowledge level if it comes to changes short notice each of the governments. And I think that enabled us to really act quickly and align all the people behind a joint effort.
All right. So then how quickly was this medical equipment task force? Like, I mean, when it was it, did it start before all the lockdowns began, or?
Yeah, I mean, we were one of the first companies moving into a full remote setting. I mean, we saw a fourth of our people are working out of China, so we've seen the first wave coming to Wuhan quite early. We initiated the Corona task force back then. I think we knew pretty early on that I think that there is a joint effort of the society needed in order to flatten the curve. I think we were able to switch gears swiftly and to make sure that we can go into a full remote setting like from one day to the other. And that was done early on. And within this movement, I mean, in January, we've sent masks to China, yeah, when they were in large demand. And so we've seen the demand coming. And so mid-February, late February, it was more or less like a Saturday afternoon where we sat down and said, okay, hey, I think we need to set this up in a more structured order and to make sure that we can position ourselves here well and to help quickly.
Okay. So you mentioned that you were one of the first companies to go into full remote work mode. And how were you able to do that so quickly?
I think I mean, if I look at it, it's just my personal my personal work setup, and all the people that I directly work with are more or less spread across 6 offices, and so there are very few meetings that actually happen on site and in person, and a lot of meetings and one-on-ones were already held with video conferencing support. And so I think for us it was easy having a workforce that is known and experienced working with tools like Zoom, Slack, Demodesk, and a ton of other tools, Myra for project management and brainstorming, for example. So I think the tool set we had at hand and we built on, besides also our core functionalities in the freight forwarding space, significantly supported the move early on and helped us to work still efficiently. Of course, with some drawbacks on an interpersonal level that we try to then compensate with weekly yoga sessions and company meditation sessions and cooking classes that were all held online. Of course, that doesn't fully compensate for a natural one-on-one setting if you meet each other in person. But I think we did what we could in order to facilitate that for a certain phase. And I think also now even more open to offer our people a very flexible work environment, so they can they can also grow, meet the expectations of having a family, raising kids, and having a life next to their job.
All right. Well, you had me at a yoga sessions and cooking classes. All right. So then, like again, speaking about your employees and moving forward. So, do you think that this sort of disruption and shift to remote work is going to affect the way that work's done, not just at your company, but in the entire industry?
Yeah, I think that every crisis offers tremendous opportunities and often has led to tremendous change within societies in the past. And I think that this crisis especially will lead to a higher degree of digitalization. I think it will lead long-term to less travel, and I think it will long-term um, uh, definitely lead to different purchasing, transport strategies by companies. And I mean, you can see it now just from high-level data, and a lot of the earnings calls in Q2, supply chain was mentioned 3 to 4 times as often as a year ago. Yeah, so I think clients are open now more than ever before to discuss digitization opportunities for their supply chain setup. And yeah, we're more than happy to discuss that with them.
All right. Yeah. Fantastic. So, all right. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Um, and yeah, it's been quite a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Alexa. And yeah, talk to you soon. Bye bye.